Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video we got to check out the original ALTERAC Valley in an upcoming event for patch 8.2 PTR, and it was awesome. Blizzard decided to have a community event where you could actually play with developers on PTR for a event that's coming up for the World of Warcraft 15th anniversary. One of the anniversary events is gonna be Classic ALTERAC Valley. Not the current ALTERAC Valley that you play now, but rather the one that you'll be playing in Classic World of Warcraft. With Blizzard recreating Classic WoW almost from scratch to some bases, they were able to recreate old abilities, which could potentially make it back into the game, but also Classic ALTERAC Valley, the way that it used to play back in the day. On this channel, we were actually able to dive into Classic ALTERAC Valley and test it out as it was launching. First of all, the amount of people, just the sheer number of people that were on PTR ready for this classic event. I mean, Stormwind Bridge was packed with people. It was probably one of the coolest things to be a part of. Really does sell you this whole, oh, nobody plays BFA, it's a dead game, when you have so many people, not even on live servers, but logging on PTR, getting PTR, downloading PTR, and copying their character to participate in the event. Anyway, once the ALTERAC Valley began, I actually got to launch it as Alliance, but I came in towards the very start, but not with everybody else waiting in the queue for the gates to open. So I was straggling behind a little bit. And I played through this whole event, and we didn't win as Alliance. It ended up being kind of a sour loss. But I still had a lot of fun, and while streaming, I actually went from a point where I'm interacting with the chat to more just sitting there, focusing on the game, playing, and having genuine fun. The purpose of the event is to bring back Classic WoW as a celebration for WoW's 15th anniversary, but also to come in with a mount. By doing activities in ALTERAC Valley, you will actually be able to earn a mount on the Horde side and Alliance as well. A Frostwolf for the Horde with purple eyes, as well as a Battle Ram for the Alliance. The more original and the old school mounts that people had way back in the day, just in a new coat of paint. There's a couple things that I noticed while playing this ALTERAC Valley, and oh my god, did I have a lot of fun with it. It is definitely a long BG. I don't know how authentic this battleground is to the original vanilla World of Warcraft ALTERAC Valley. But from questions from my viewers, it looks pretty, not identical, but fairly close. It felt like a faithful recreation of what it was like back in the day, or at least my viewers pointed out that it felt pretty good in terms of seeing it for themselves. And I really had to rely on my chat to give me feedback on stuff like this, just how authentic is this experience. Because I never got to play vanilla WoW, not when I lived in Russia, when my family could barely afford internet. Couple things I noticed while playing through the event: they decided to go with level scaling for patch 8.2.5. As part of what World of Warcraft is trying to do, mess around with players' levels, they are able to scale players' levels like they do in time-walking dungeons and raids, but this time they're implemented it for battlegrounds. So everybody scales to level 60, so that all the NPCs and the damage that's outgoing is scaled to the level that you're supposed to be playing this BG. However, there are a couple caveats to that. That means since we are scaled to level 60, a lot of the legendary effects like the Mist of Pandaria legendary cloaks actually works in this battleground. Things like weapons like the Thunder Fury work in this BG, which was really cool. It opens up a lot more options in terms of what kind of gear you want to bring to these time walking BGs. And I don't think it's going to be something that is going to be released as a regular feature, although potentially in the future Blizzard could do stuff like this, specific events to bring back certain BGs and level cap us, so we can use all these fun broken items, all these different legendaries and powerful trinkets from various different expansions that are now usable in this time walking event. There's some cool combinations that people have been able to use inside of time walking dungeons and raids for some absurd damage, and if you can take those same methods and apply it in PvP, I think there could be a lot of fun to be had with this. It does not seem like in that PTR there was a lot of crazy shenanigans. There was a couple warriors running around with Thunder Fury applying a debuff on everybody, but besides that, it really wasn't too terrible. Since it is scaling, it is going to be a bit wonky, as in when I'm playing my Assassination rogue in this battleground, because I decided to make an Assassination Worgen rogue, I thought it would be a really cool theme to put together, and some of the damage I was able to put out was absurd. Like, being able to hit players for a fourth or even half their health with some of the essences was absolutely busted. So certain things are not finely tuned balanced, but it was still a load of fun. Although being a melee definitely is the worst for this type of event, especially if you have a whole army of casters casting spells from the enemy side. If you're a warrior, there's a good chance that you spend majority of this battleground camp in the graveyard. Even if you didn't want to, you were sent there by all these mages casting greater pyroblasts. So me being the rogue that I am, with Vanish Cloak and billion other defenses, as well as a million stuns, you're able to control the battle fairly easily, so I get to have quite a bit of fun. We got to do a lot when it comes to player versus player, but I was genuinely surprised just how much PvE that the original ALTERAC Valley had, as in doing the different objectives and summoning the big elemental and killing so many mobs to get resources, but the player versus player definitely was on point. The fact that it was kind of time walking scaled definitely made some abilities wonky and do way more damage than they needed to. But overall, we got to have massive epic battles in the middle, got to flank our enemies, small skirmishes, small 1v1s, even 1v2s, and to the point where we were even able to abuse certain NPCs like Belinda on the Alliance side in order for her to rein in the kills while I'm CCing the rest of the Horde. And then of course I've been able to go back to my base and find out what these little items that I'm picking up from NPCs do. Again, never played vanilla WoW, so this was the first time for me trying, but it turned out that there's a lot of these different turn-ins that you can use, kind of like how you would in Asheron, if anybody remembers that. In Asheron, you would kill enemies and do side objectives PvE style, like kill rares and mobs, and collect this currency, and you could distribute this currency all over different NPCs and gain different benefits. One of the NPCs would summon a powerful tree ant boss, which is exactly the same idea where they got from the ALTERAC Valley, where you do summon the massive tree boss. As the Horde decided to massive the rock boss, and when we had him clash in the middle, the Alliance of course won that one. But you find a bunch of different scraps and bits and baubles all over the place, so you go up to these NPCs, and a lot of them are old school, as in like you can only turn in one of those items at a time to a certain NPC. So I have like 20 tokens and I'm keep turning them into a guy over and over and over. I'm having to talk to him, open up the quest bar, and then turn in the item, hit complete quest, continue. If the quest bar closes, I gotta open it back up and keep doing it over and over and over until all 20 items out of my bags are out. One of the things I noticed is when you are doing all these different turn-ins, when you're trying to set up for the massive elemental titan to be spawned, or you're trying to buff up your allies, you don't really know how many more of those items you need before you gain the different buffs. There's a bunch of different breakpoints, and when an NPC gets enough leather scraps, or if they get enough commendations or stuff, eventually they do some sort of a buff or an upgrade to your allies, or they go out in the middle and summon the massive tree titan. So you don't really know when these things are happening all at the same time. Maybe that's kind of how it was back in vanilla, but you don't have any bars of completion. I've also been able to run around and just do different things like go in mines and clear out enemy forces and find Horde players that are trying to do the same thing in our alley mines. I got to do just about every bit of event but win this battleground. The way we lost the BG2 was ridiculous. Like 30 people were just gone. We went from a 40-man actually winning to bam, they're gone. And then it was just me sitting there looking at the Horde storm the objective. And after putting in so much time, basically an hour of playing this BG, to do all the activities and fight off Horde forces and have such an advantage to, in the end, have 30 people somehow disappear out of your group, which I don't even think it's just people leaving, although it could be. I'm gonna guess the possibility here is it's PTR, servers are unstable, something happened and this event only lasted about an hour, and after a certain amount of time when this event stopped being available for people to queue, there's a good possibility that a bunch of people simply got kicked out of the BG before they could see the finish of it. Either way, to put in so much time and so much effort, and then just seeing 30 people pull a Houdini, it definitely was a tilter. But at the same time, I ended up loving this BG so much and investing so much in myself because I was having so much fun. Maybe it might be a good idea to bring back the classic ALTERAC Valley as a option, or maybe as a brawl from time to time. I think this could be something cool that we potentially could see in the future, because I had such a blast with it, even though it was such a sour loss, and I am a bit sour grapes about the whole thing. Still, I just had so much fun with it. Overall, amazing experience. Another thing that I also noticed about this BG is just how long it is. It doesn't end until the enemy leader is dead. So this thing can technically go on forever. If nobody on Alliance or Horde does anything in terms of pushing for the enemy leader, if you don't have just 30 people disappearing out of nowhere, this BG could actually last forever. Because it doesn't end until your ally faction leader is dead. And the Horde was able to push all the way to our base and take ours out without anybody stopping. But if all those 40 Horde had 40 Alliance players on at all times, stopping them and diverting attention, forcing them to back up and defend their bases, I feel like this BG could go on forever. The current BG that we have right now, which is the ALTERAC Valley we know and love of BFA, and I don't know when it got changed, but we have a bar at the top that shows how many reinforcements allies and enemies have. And the BG ends fairly quickly. It doesn't last for hours and hours unless you are getting spawn camped at your base by a pre-made. And then it can maybe last a lot longer, but generally ALTERAC Valley doesn't last more than an hour. This one could literally last hours if you had enough people online to keep it going. The fact that the BG can last forever will definitely turn a lot of people off. And when people figure out that, wow, this BG is lasting for a long time, I'm just gonna leave and I'm just gonna do it at another time or something, or just never do it again, is a possibility once this launches in 8.2.5. But I personally like that idea. I like a BG that can last forever. It feels like a real true battle. I kind of think it's funny, the thought of maybe, let's say, logging on ALTERAC, playing it for 30 minutes, then leaving, going to get a sandwich or something, getting some food done, homework done or something, come back, log back in, go back into ALTERAC, and that same ALTERAC Valley is still underway. So you just join back to the fight, let your buzz know you're back in, and then keep trucking until you win. So I think this could be a really, really cool idea, cool concept. I think this is definitely going to turn a lot of people off. Because part of the reason why I think a lot of people left is because people are like cats. They kind of just lose attention after a little bit. And maybe that might be what BFA and previous expansions of newer MMO has done to the community. Then again, time is money and nobody wants to spend absorbent amount of time in a BG. So we'll see just how successful this will be on the launch of this classic ALTERAC. I personally had a lot of fun with it. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about the idea of classic ALTERAC coming back in? We'll be able to obviously stream this whenever this comes out on live servers, but I want to give you guys a glimpse and my opinion on this ALTERAC Valley BG. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you guys in another one.